Hi everyone and welcome to Hostile Territory. In my previous video I talked about the misuse of power in a toxic workplace, and in that video I mentioned that I would tell you a story from personal experience. Well, since that previous video turned out to be pretty lengthy, I decided to make a sort of part 2 on the whole video and mention that personal story here. So I hope you get some useful information from this. Stay tuned.
Hostile Territory.
Regarding my personal experience and the abuse of power, I can tell you this. In my previous toxic workplace, I had two separate occasions where I saw a big abuse of power. If you watched my testimonial video and my other videos on this channel, you can see what I went through during 12 long years of working in this company. Lots of bad situations. If you haven't watched the video, I recommend it. I'll leave a link in the corner and in the video description so you can take a look. Anyway, in this company, I had two bosses, which I think abused in a very bad way all the power that they had. The first boss was there when I arrived. He was this very intelligent, very conniving person. He was very aware what he could do to his own advantage in that company. You know, all in all, a very sharp person and very much a person that was self-centered, so to say. How did he abuse his power? And he had a lot of it. He was the boss of two branch offices within the company. He was undisputed to a certain level of the management. There were sort of two groups of people. One liked him, one didn't, mainly because of his character. All in all, how did he abuse his power? Well, just like I mentioned in the previous part of the video, he used every company resource he could to his own advantage. He used the company car, company paid him all his gas bills. I think he used the company credit card to pay for lunches and everything else. All in all, he used lots of company resources. He used the company to his own benefit and advantages. Another thing where there was abuse of power, he liked to act as some sort of person that always likes you to know that he is in charge, How did this manifest itself? Well, every time he came to the branch office, there was some sort of drama, even when there was no reason. When he was mad, he would yell, he would cuss, he would stomp his feet around the office like a madman. All in all, a big drama queen, very annoying behavior. And one more very typical thing for this kind of behavior is that he didn't like to work. And all of this coincides with what I was talking about in the previous video, and this is where I get that experience from. We were doing a big project at that time. He saw that I was willing and that I knew how to do it, and he put most of the work in my lap and took all of the credits for it. On the other hand, there was the boss that later became the boss, and I've talked about this in previous videos. Also a very intelligent person, also a person that is very good in the line of work that we were doing, but on the other side, he had a full-blown love affair with the woman co-worker within the branch office. He was a raging alcoholic. I didn't know it at that time. He was a serious narcissist. This person loved himself more than anything. And all in all, a very complicated person. And when he became the boss, he didn't immediately impose his power. He did this gradual thing, over time, where he started from being, it was pretty tolerable to the point that he was, again, the undisputed master of the universe within the branch office. And another thing, he didn't impose this power, of course, on the mistress and on the other co-worker, which was his best friend. He either couldn't or didn't want to. All in all, the main victim of this abuse of power was me. But again, he imposed this power gradually because he first wanted for me to do all of the work. Just like the other boss, he just wanted for me to do all of the work and for him to take the credits and then establish himself as a real powerful boss, What else did this person do? Also characteristic behavior. The moment he became the boss, he started skipping work. He would go visit his mistress, which was his own business, I don't care, but he skipped work a lot. Since he drank, he skipped work a lot, and by skipping, I mean the first couple of months, he skipped only a couple of hours. Later, he didn't appear at work for a couple of days, and the company tolerated this. All in all, at the beginning, it was not that bad. Later, it was, I think, even worse than with the first boss. That person at least had the concept in his head that he needed other people to make things happen that he needed. So he had some sort of handbrake, But this person at the end really sort of got off the leash regarding that. He turned the branch office, in my opinion, into his own private property. What's the point of this story? Two totally different people, totally different backgrounds. They would probably never have a cup of coffee together, let alone work together, if it wasn't that situation. But they act the same regarding power. How they react to power, how they treat that power, how they use that power was more or less the same. Seldom will people use that power properly. If you manage to meet these kind of people, you will never experience bad behavior from them. They will use this power very wisely, and they will be very grateful to you for you obeying and for you wanting to cooperate with them. After I left my company, I changed 3 different workplaces, and all 3 of them had the exact same problem with abusing power. You wouldn't believe it. And all 3 of these people were middlemen in the company. There was practically no use of them. They didn't have any influence on the productivity of the company. They just used the gap between the worker and the head management to their own advantage. All of these people did the same thing as those 2 guys I mentioned, my previous bosses. They used the company resources heavily. They didn't work a lot. They tried to skip work as much as they can. There was no essential benefit from them. And I think this is the case in a lot of companies. Be very aware of power if you were to come across it yourself. If you were to become a boss manager and to command other people, it is a corrosive thing. It is something that consumes people if not kept in check. Even good people, even people that were previously normal, when they come across power, they have these kinds of problems, and they have to tame it to keep it under control. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you for your time. Please like and subscribe. It's a huge help for the channel. Also, if you watch our other videos, I hope you'll get some other good tips and advice on how to navigate and get through tough times in working in a toxic and hostile workplace. It's a bad place to be, a complicated place to be, and if you don't watch your back, you can get yourself into trouble. Thank you for watching, thank you for your time, and hopefully I'll see you in the next video.